you make decision to pick network. Be careful, router. Hello, good day, everyone. Welcome to the Man of Thought. I just want to have a few discussion with some of our people about happiness. Um, Today, I've been a little bit different. I was kind of busy. I was kind of not busy. My mind is in different place at the same time. So, what's today like for you? For me, today has been like a normal day. And I think the kind of life I have adopted for a very long time is the life that everything is the same in a sense that it is very stable. Sometimes it's very unstable, but I try to build stability in my life. And I want to talk about happiness this evening before 8 p.m. today when I talk about addiction. My addiction, most likely your addiction. And in fact, the only reason why I'll be talking about addiction this evening is simply because I finally got monetized on YouTube. I finally got monetized on YouTube. I was kind of glad because I met it, the standard. I've already been making money before I got monetized fully. In the aspect that on YouTube, I could make some money. I have people who gave me super chats, D who became my member, who support me. Few people who are joining to support my vision and to support my content creation. So it kind of makes sense in certain areas. But on a realistic part, let me touch on happiness for a few minutes and then we can think about it. If you have been struggling to be a happy person, I would want to give you certain insights for you to really think about, and then it might probably propel you to be able to become a happy person or not a happy person, or you become unhappy in a nutshell. There was a statement at some point that I heard from Will Smith. You know, when Will Smith came up at some point and he was talking about being happy, Will Smith said something and he said that he was having issues with Jada Pinkett Smith. And their conversation was like, if you have to be happy, you should be responsible for your own happiness. That was what he told Jada Pinkett Smith, that you have to come with your cup full. You shouldn't expect me to make you happy. That was the picture that Will Smith painted to the world. I can't remember how many years ago, but I can recall Will Smith making that statement on live, that he told Jada Pinkett Smith that she has to be a happy person. He is not going to make her happy. When I look at that conversation, maybe if you have been able to go through my past video or shorts, you might be able to see where I made claims which became real at some point, that Will Smith is not happy in his marriage. Now, the reason why I said that was basically because for anyone to be happy, you have to be able to distinct success from happiness. Most people who are happy are mostly happy because of the success they've accomplished in life. And when people think that they are successful, then they rejoice. Being joyful because you win, a lot of people categorize that to be happiness, that they are happy people, or most likely when things are going fine in their life, that makes them happy. Not quite long, we realized what happened. Jada Pinkett Smith came up and they started doing red table talk, and then she started saying all kinds of things. We realized who she's sleeping with, her son's friend, this and that. We thought it was that bad. Then we heard of threesome, foursome, fivesome, tensome, all kinds of sumses between Will Smith. And if Will Smith did not give Jada Pinkett Smith permission, he get disappointed when Pinkett Smith make a decision to go ahead. They started doing what we call open marriage. And when you ask yourself also the question that why is why is it that people don't get satisfied sexually also, and they most likely always chase after people to meet their needs so that they become happy? Then it becomes a bigger problem. And sometimes also, certain people know that when they achieve success, they realize it straight in their mind that my success cannot make me happy. But then they begin to think that associating themselves with people is going to make them happy at the long run. These are levels at which people use in getting happy. Some people's happiness is based off success, but when a lot of people achieve the success, they realize that they still need humans to make them feel happiness. And when you think that humans are going to make you happy, majority of the time you are going to be disappointed in life. And then when humans cannot meet the needs of people, and people are always disappointed in humans, then they fall to the next thing that they call substance. Because people are seeking for something that will make them happy. From human being, they move into substance. And when people get to substance, then it becomes a different drive. So, substance in the sense that you use it and then you feel happy, truly happy. When substance becomes the reason or something that you use in getting happiness, that moment you do not need people anymore. All you need is the substance. So I want you to understand that first of all, it is a society program for you to think in your head that for you to be accepted fully in the society was for you to be successful. And then you believe that when you become successful, the next thing that is going to do is to draw people close to you for you to be happy. Because when you have the whole money in this life and you find yourself in a big mansion, then you realize that someone who is living in one room and the person who is living in a mansion are living one same life. It is just a pattern of life. In fact, a one room person could experience life in different frequency more than the person who is in a mansion, because a mansion can easily become a prison. Let us ask ourselves, most times we become a prison to our own success. And what does that statement mean? Most people that I have seen in my life, and I believe that most people who are also here live with me can also understand that certain people are prisoners to their own success. So you build a mansion, you are left alone in the mansion. The definition of prison is that you find yourself in a place where you do not have free movement. That's what prison just means. What's the difference between prison and bondage? Bondage is when you are bound to a place. Prison is when you cannot move beyond certain parameters. When you can't move beyond certain parameters, you are a prisoner. So most likely when you see some of these presidents, president like Bola Ahmed Tinubu, president like Donald Trump, people like Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, like Barack Obama, most of these people are prisoners. Trust me, I'm not trying to downplay them. No, no, no. They are prisoners. And the meaning of what I mean by prisoners is that when they are in the height of their success, they've gotten to a place where they cannot go beyond certain areas in life. And they have to find another frequency for them to be able to get to associate themselves with certain individuals. Now, let's put it in this context. If Barack Obama wants to go to most places, he will definitely have securities with him, even for the fact that he's no more the president. If Obasanjo, our own former president, if he wants to go to many places, ever since he became the president of Nigeria, he cannot go many places without going with securities everywhere. Now, trust me, when you first of all hit into the point of securities, you are having securities following you wherever you want to go, and you have the money to pay them. The first thing you are going to feel is you are going to feel very important. And when you feel very important, it goes into your mind and you feel very happy. You feel confident of yourself. You feel proud of yourself until it gets to a point whereby you can't go anywhere without those securities. And those securities, psychologically, you begin to realize that they are burden to your own life. This is the reason why a lot of people who become successful rather switch to the side of being ambitious. Now, somebody might say something. Sorry, I'm going to say something that might be offensive to certain people, but it's true. When you look at Donald Trump, with the kind of success Donald Trump has actually achieved, most people would say that why would he still want to become a president of the United States? You have been a president for 4 years. Why not let another person to run? At least they have certain candidates who were willing to become presidential candidates and the rest of it. Why didn't he just support somebody? Why is he himself that still wants to go into that position of power? The image is going to paint to a lot of people is that he loves America. Can you die for America? Maybe he can. Maybe that's the reason why people believe in him. I don't know. Maybe he's fighting for what he believes in. I do not know. But looking at the statistics of the wealth he has been able to accomplish, one of the things that a human being who is balanced somewhere in their emotions would do is that when you attain certain success in life and you have influence, the next thing you need to fix or pay more attention to are your children and your grandchildren or your great grandchildren and every other thing that matters. Because trust me, most wealthy, influential people can still make a change without being in the position of power. But because there's this addictive personality, and that's the reason why sometimes you will say this particular individual, Donald Trump, is very dramatic. Trust me, I love him. Trust me, I want him to be the president of the United States. But when you look at him in one way, there's something missing. And that's the side of happiness and peace. You might agree, you might not agree. You don't have to. And then you ask yourself also, look at the life of Joe Biden. Why would Joe Biden would be in that particular age in his life where he could not move, he could not cough, he could not do anything? He's just falling here, probably pissing on his pants. Maybe during the time Joe Biden is still the president, maybe they wear pampers for him. Should I say it? There was a time that somebody's president that we know was standing and reading attention or sorry, national anthem, and we saw that his trouser became wet. An elderly man is a president. I don't want to call that president's name. And then you ask yourself, why would these individuals be so old in age and still make a decision to go after being in the position of power. It is simply because happiness, peace, and joy is removed from their life and they are only addicted. What they want is influence. What they want at the junction of their life is just to be honored and respected and most likely to be feared. Most people who are not happy in life would prefer people to fear them. Whenever people don't have happiness or joy or peace in their life, what they want the world to do is to fear them. And some of them will misconstrue fear to be respect. So they intimidate with the position they find themselves. So, where am I actually diving to? For you to be a happy person, you have to build a stable life. Stability is what you need. And what does it mean to have a stable life? To have a stable life is to understand that you can't do everything. The emotion of happiness is unique to humans. It is a spirit that makes us dance. It is a unique spirit, or I wouldn't call it spirit, it's a unique emotion that everyone needs to know how to fine tune. Because if you don't know how to fine tune to the spirit of joy or to the emotions of joy or happiness, you most likely will have depression, all kinds of disease, or you fall into addiction of drugs, or you find yourself chasing certain ambition, and regardless of the ambition you have, you want more. And this is the reason why you always observe that most of the people who actually work in the corporate places, a lot of them are not joyful. Trust me, most of them are not joyful. When you see them, they are always very serious. When you see them, they always want to be so intellectual in anything they say. They want to be so intellectual in everything they do. Sometimes certain people psych themselves to be so intelligent, and because of their intelligence, they become a slave to their intelligence. And the reason why certain individuals cannot be happy in life is simply because they are too intelligent for them to be happy. They have become a slave to their intelligence. Most likely, a lot of professors can testify to it. I'm sometimes sorry when people say that I always want intellectual conversation. I like intelligent people. I always want to engage myself with intellect. I'm like, where does it stop? Because intellectual conversation is good. Do you have a time that you can have a stupid conversation? It is important to be intelligent. It is also good to know how to dial back to being humans. And in being a true human being, they don't need to be, it is not necessary to always take things serious. And in that grace of being a human, you can be stupid. And stupidity is not a crime, it's not a sin. In fact, it is part of human's nature. When you're creating a discipline around yourself, do not create a discipline that imprisons your joy. Do not create a discipline that puts your emotions of peace and happiness in bondage. There is nothing wrong about you being playful at some point. Remember, while I started this conversation, I touched on success and I said certain people become very successful. And trust me, before they became successful, they had to be very intelligent. And when they became intelligent, they felt like intelligence will make them successful. And then after they became intelligent, the world clapped for them. but at some point the world stop clapping for you, then you achieve success. Then when you become successful, the world clap for you. After a period of time, the world gets used to you that you are a successful person, and there's nothing you can actually do because you can't actually help the whole world. And then because the world does not clap for you, you then fall into the aspect of you want to be so influential. And then after the world does not really recognize you, then you fall into addiction. And when the world does not recognize you and you fall into addiction, then you start destroying yourself. So what's the solution for you to be an happy person? Part of the solution that I can bring up in my own mind, and trust me, I don't know it all, but part of the things I think that humans can do to make themselves a joyful, a happy, or to have a little bit of balanced life is to understand that even your problems in life, even your challenges in life, shouldn't be taken too serious. The good times in your life, that's normal. Nobody is going to debate that. But you need to understand that in life, you are going to go through certain things. It is very ironic that we wake up every day with different emotions. Thank you for joining me, enlightened ones. Yes, sir. We sleep and we wake up as people, and regardless of good things going on in our life, sometimes we wake up and our emotions are not stable. And trust me, most people do not believe in these astrologies. Certain people just have religious belief. Certain people, they are so nutritionist and the rest of it. But regardless, either you're a nutritionist, either you're physical health education, either you're a doctor, either you are an astrologer, anything you like, you should be. One day you wake up and you don't feel happy. One day you wake up and you don't feel joyful. The problem that a lot of people do have is that during the days they don't feel happy, they take that day so serious and they start to look for a reason why they were not happy. And in that, they are trying to find a way to remain happy or to find something that they have to do that will make them happy. And stylishly, they become a slave. And when they become a slave, now they need something to make them happy. Now, you have to understand that the days you wake up in life and you don't feel happy, sometimes it is basically because the cosmos change. And trust me, there are things that I've experienced and I don't know. People don't have to necessarily agree with it. I might be doing meditation and I might still be fooling myself at the same time. Enlightened one, I will be touching on that soon, the religious aspect. Now, when I observe the cosmos itself, and when I talk about the cosmos, I'm talking about the atmosphere. There are certain atmosphere that we experience as human beings, and in those atmosphere, when it changes, something inside us does not look balanced. And you might not recognize it that something, maybe the weather changed, maybe there's a season that was going on. This is not about season. There's a season that comes in humans' life. When you look at it, I'm talking about the weather itself. Sometimes the weather changes and you would not be so aware that it was because there was a change in the cosmos, and that is what is actually affecting you. Sometimes you wake up every morning and you are used to the sun, and because you are used to the sun, you wake up in the morning, the sun is shining, and you come out and you stretch your body and the rest of it. One day you wake up and the weather looks cold or looks somehow or doesn't look that bright, and You might be doing a lot of things for you to feel the way you used to feel, and you wouldn't understand that there's an absence in the cosmos of what you were used to that actually changed, and that is the reason why you don't feel that same feelings you used to have. There are different thoughts that topic that has gone towards the aspect of the sun is so good in the body because of vitamin D and the rest of it. But what I'm trying to let our mind go to is that there is also the aspect of responsibility if you want to be able to feel all emotions that are available for you. And if you take life too serious, I'm not saying we shouldn't take our life serious. If you take it too serious, you most likely would be a slave towards an emotion of happiness. Now, let me read. That's where I might just hold on my thoughts to. I might come back there. But let me read to what the enlightened one says. Any word, any contribution, please, you can bring it in. I still have a lot of things that I will most likely be trained, but I will also like us to share our own experience, our own thoughts on happiness, on joy. If you have also questions, please throw it in. Now, the enlightened one says something. The enlightened one says that religion is the opioid of the masses. You know, it's like me and the enlightened one, there's a way we used to think. Our thoughts kind of look similar. Happiness is not an end point, it's a temporary emotion that must be balanced by sadness and difficult times. Jesus, everything I've been saying, you just hit the nail on the head. You just hit the nail on the head. Trust me, in my country right now, if you banned church, if they tell certain people, individuals, that you cannot go to church or mosque or practice your religion, they will burn everything down. They will become the most miserable people you have ever seen on the surface of this earth. And I know that is what you mean when you say religion is the opioid of the masses. And a lot of people, let us even try and find a reason why people make decisions to do this. Why people are kind of taking religion, most likely, like you said, being the opioid of the masses. Now, what does religion do? In my explanation, in the way I can comprehend it, religion is just a combination of culture and traditions and then mixed with the idea of God. What do I mean by this? In every country that they practice religion, the way they practice church in America, in the US, will be different from the way the church in Nigeria would operate, will be different from the way the church in UK would operate. It will be different from every other country. Why? The music of the United States, how they rapping might be more in their song. And so when the choirs or the choristers wants to speak or sing to the Lord, they sing most likely just like the culture, the hip hop culture of the Americans. Now, in Africa, in Nigeria, for example, if our church, in our church service, if we want to sing, Oliver the Coke is the founder of High Life. A lot of people in Nigerian churches will sing High Life. We will sing a song that we are inclined to as a culture. So the pastor who is also going to preach based off your culture and your tradition. So I say that religion is the combination of culture and tradition with the ideology of God. And trust me, this goes to every country on the surface of this earth. Please, if anyone disagree with me, tell me why you disagree with me. But the problem of the church is that the church tries to go against cultures and tradition. The same church who will sing high life because of their culture sings high life. The same church who will sing Afrobeat because the culture of their country sings Afrobeat. The same thing, what oh my yoga, the same church who practices and rejoice and they dress based of their tradition to the church and they rejoice based of their culture to the church, the same church is always against the cultures and traditions of the people because the church wants to strip people of their culture and tradition, but it has nothing else to give to balance the ideology of God. But there is nothing as an ideology of God that can truly exist without culture and traditions. Now, good luck Onye Gorom says that please, I was just coming now. What were you saying about? Okay, Mr. Goodluck, I was actually talking about how we can be happy, how we can sustain happiness first. That was where I started from. And yeah, I just my network. Sorry for that. Sorry. Yeah. So, well, which kind of bad network is this that doesn't want me to hear? I'm sorry, oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Goodluck. So while we were talking about happiness, we're touching on different things that a lot of people use in becoming happy. And naturally, let me just pinpoint on certain things because I know I'm going back for people who have been with me for a very long time. If you look at naturally, happiness is something that every human being have inside of them. They did not teach you to be happy when you are a baby. When you are a child, you are even so much happy that your parents begin to teach you how to take life serious. Naturally, children are happy even if their parents have money or not. Happiness is inside of them because they are in tune to all the good emotions. And regardless, children cry, but they can cry today because something hurts them, and they can laugh few minutes from now and start rejoicing. But now that people have grown up, it is now difficult for a lot of people to be happy. So when they take life so serious or difficult things is going on in their life, even when things are getting better in their life, they still lack happiness. So before you know, they start certain people will use success. After success, they want ambition. After ambition, they want women. After women, they want this. At the end of the day, they fall into substance. After substance, they are gone. So, what are the things that are taking that happiness from us? Is basically because a lot of us are not so much aware. And I touch on a point that sometimes we take things too serious that we try to find happiness, and in us trying to seek happiness, we actually become a slave to sadness. In a sense, what I mean is that sometimes you wake up and the sun is always shining and you are happy, but you might not know when a season kind of change. There are seasons that happen that the weather might even change, and you wake up that morning, you are not even aware that it is that the weather has actually changed, but you are not so much happy. You don't feel happiness inside of yourself, but your body recognizes that the weather has changed. It's not what it is used to. So your body is telling you that weather has changed, but you are thinking something is wrong with you. Besides, nothing might be wrong with you. So if you understand that even if my body do not feel happiness, I don't need to take it so serious to do everything to find happiness. Because when you start seeking that, oh, I need money to be happy. When you make money, then you need more money, then you need more money. And at the end of the day, you just have so much money, but you can never become happy. Part of it also that the enlightened one begin to touch on is the religious aspect. And part of the things he touched on, let me still go back to what enlightened one said. He said religion is the opioid of the masses. And what we are touching on is that a lot of people, if you take out religion in from their life, they would no more be happy. And then I am touching on the fact that Most religion are built on culture and tradition. And when I said religion is built on culture and tradition, it simply means that if you are in America, the way church operates in America will not be the way church will operate in Nigeria. It will not be the same way church will operate in Russia, in any other country. The reason is that if you are in America church, they will sing hip hop when they are singing their choir song. They will sing hymn like an R&B. They will sing all these things based off the culture of America. When you come to Nigeria, when choirs wants to sing or they want to sing praise and worship, they sing it like high life, because high life is part of the culture of Africans. They sing Afrobeat because Afrobeat is part of African. But what I am saying is this, that a lot of religion, this is how me and the enlightened one, we are now switching the conversation, that religion is most times against culture and tradition. So religion will tell you that you are not supposed to focus on your culture and tradition. You have to focus on God. And if religion is telling you you have to focus on God and not focus on your tradition, the Israelites, where Judaism actually came from, that Christianity was actually built on, they already have their own traditions and culture. So when it comes to Africa or other places, why are we trying to strip out our own culture and tradition just with the ideology that we just have to take out and start worshiping God? We cannot worship God by abandoning our cultures and tradition, because then we have lost our identity that the God himself has given us for us to identify ourselves as certain individuals, because we are different. So most churches will tell you not to go to church and not to go into your cultures and traditions, simply because the pastor is just giving people the ideology. And at the end of the day, if you no more have your culture and tradition, what you would do is that you automatically will switch into another person's culture and tradition, because we cannot be, as human being, not to have our cultures and traditions. That is why you see that naturally in Nigeria now, a lot of our people, before, they used to dress culturally to church, traditionally to church, and we say these people dress responsibly. But right now they are dressing like the Westerners, and that is a problem. So we are now becoming the Westerners, and that's why you see that mostly in churches in Africa, before, women like to tie their scarf and the rest of it, but right now we are leaving our hair. A lot of people will buy weave-on of 12 million on their head. Who are they trying to imitate? They are trying to imitate the Westerners. So that is exactly what we are touching on. So if you have any other contribution, we can always reason this together. Enlightened one, if you have anything to add up to it, I think I have said part of the things you are actually pointing out to. So good luck on Yegorum says that the first talk you said first, I love it, because happiness is over good truth. Yeah. Good luck also said that that is why so many people too are not doing fine. Some people have opportunity to make other people to still feel happy, but some don't want others to be the same with them, but it's not good, brother. True. I agree with you 1000%. When I started earlier, I touched on the aspect of Will Smith. Before the saga of Will Smith started, that they started having issues, I can remember when Will Smith came on Instagram at some point, and he was saying that he told Jada Pinkett Smith that for her to be happy, she needs to be responsible for her own happiness. He cannot make her happy. And after we figure out, before we start seeing red table talk, we start hearing 3 some, 4 some, 5 some, 10 some going on in their relationship. But what I am saying is that the reason why a husband and a wife would even decide to go into 3 some, 4 some, 5 some, yes, it is a freedom that everyone should have. It is a free will. It is a choice that people should be able to have. But most likely, there is a missing part of happiness in that relationship. What they are seeking for is pleasure. they think that pleasure is happiness. Happiness is missing. They still love each other, but happiness is missing. Because if you love each other, you will learn to be satisfied with yourself. If you are happy with the person you are with, you should be satisfied with that person. But when you are not happy with that person, then you start looking for other things to say that, oh, can we add this into our relationship? What you're seeking for is not happiness, because you are definitely not happy. Because if the other person declined that, I don't want another woman or another man to come and smash in the relationship, then one person feels like certain things have been taken away from them. The idea of marriage itself came from different cultures. And the purpose is to make sure that you can have somebody with you that you decide. It is a decision. Marriage is not meant just because of love, it is meant for a decision. And that is the reason why in marriage, they will not ask you that, do you love or are you happy to make this person your husband and your wife? Have you chosen? It is a decision. Have you chosen to make this person to be your wife and your husband in sickness and in health and the rest of it? But a lot of people still have the idea to have a cultural and traditional marriage, yet they seek pleasure and they begin to destroy their marriage small, little by little. If Will Smith has not brought in people to be doing threesome, all those guys, things that we heard, we most likely would not hear them. Sometimes in relationship, there is not going to be happiness there. He said, good luck Onye Gorom. He says, but do you know that some things that you are saying is understandable? Brother, are you from Nigeria? I am from Nigeria now. Uh, Good luck, our former president. You should have known I'm from Nigeria. I am. I am. In fact, I'm still in Nigeria. I'm in Ogun State currently. I used to stay in Lagos. Now, what am I saying? Even sometimes you are in a relationship with someone that you love, and you know you are dedicated to that individual, but you wake up sometimes and you don't feel happy to see that person. Happiness is a feeling. But when you take that feeling too serious, a feeling that you don't experience, if you don't feel something at some point, you need to understand that it is not there. If you are very conscious, that feeling would come back. If you try to make sure you feel in a certain kind of way, you are moving towards the direction of addiction. Because what does addiction do? Addiction only gives you a specific type of feeling. If alcohol makes you happy, you most likely will start taking alcohol so you can feel happiness. If drugs make you happy, you most likely will be going under drugs just to make you feel happy. The problem is that happiness should be something that you understand, that you sometimes will not feel it. And you must know as a person that it is okay sometimes for me not to feel happiness. It is part of life. Just like the enlightened one touched earlier, there was a part it touched earlier that it says before the religion side. Okay, it said it is a temporary emotion that must be balanced by sadness and difficult times. My brother Goodluck also said, you make me to overlaugh, my good brother. What you just said now make me to smile, but I am not that good luck, my I know. I know definitely. Trust me, I know. I was just being sarcastic. I know now. Marriage, by the enlightened one, says marriage is a spiritual covenant between a man, woman, and God. Please, if you haven't subscribed and you're here, do subscribe to my channel. I'm still coming back by 8 p.m. I will touch on that thing that the enlightened one says. Good luck says, see, let me tell you, understanding matters a lot, brother. 1000% I agree with you, sir. Marriage is a spiritual covenant. And I want you to understand one thing. This is the reason why I kind of like certain type of people who I have conversation with. And I'm happy that I did not make my channel about just seeing people talking about woman and what is happening, how many guys can you sleep with, and I make my channel. I knew at the beginning that when I start my channel, there are certain conversations that will attract people who have senses, people who can think, people who are conscious, who are enlightened in certain ways. Now, the enlightened one says something, and there's a place I would like to go with that particular subject. If you realize, when me and enlightened and few others will speak, we will talk about the bad part of religion. That doesn't mean we did not acknowledge God. We know there is God. What we are saying is that there are a lot of manipulation with the ideology of God. So most people would tell you that sex is not spiritual. A lot of people will tell you that sex is just normal. It's just between man and woman. And then the way a lot of us try to downplay what sex is, some of us will say dogs have sex with whatever they want to have sex with. Some of us will say chicken does not have wife or husband. Some of us will say animals can sleep with any other animals. And I'm like, if you are a conscious human being and you think that sex is not spiritual, then what you are saying is that you are willing to be an animal. No wonder certain people act like dogs. It is not coincidence that you act like dog, because you deny the consciousness that God has given to you and you prefer to be an animal. And when you start thinking like an animal, you act like one. If you are a conscious being, a conscious human being, what you would know is that while you are working in your physical body, there is a spiritual part to it. You are living in a third dimension, and there are certain principles that affect you because you are a conscious being. If you were unconscious, you wouldn't act in certain areas of life. You would have been thinking just like the dog, just like a dog, just like an animal. And in fact, even certain animals, they marry. Lion, for example, worship or prefers to have their own, what do they call the baby of lion? Children. Let me just use children. And it will actually go against if he sees the children of another male lion. If a lion can do that, you are more conscious, you now think that sexuality is nothing as human being. God actually bestows spirituality into sex because it gives you a particular way of pleasure, and it makes you have a covenant with somebody. Why is it that when a lot of women have too many sex with a lot of individuals, it becomes difficult for them to be able to bound with one man, even when she is willing to, because she has broke the principle and the protocol that God has bestowed inside of her. When you break the principle, then your mortal body begins to act in a different way. And part of those things are part of the reasons why we are screaming today that, oh, there is no marriage are breaking up. Good luck says that, brother, all those people talking about women, woman, woman, some of those things is nonsense now. Are you not the one telling us what we are mind to overhear some may understand some things, maybe change. That's my objective. Thank you, sir. Enlightened one says, I wish I understand sex when I was 17. The spiritual consequences of premarital sex is shocking. You are joining yourself spiritually through a physical act, saying we are one. If you haven't subscribed, please do subscribe. Oh, for me to say what I say, for me to have people like Good Luck, for me to have people like the Enlightened One to be contributing, there is no way that if we grow with this channel the way we are going, we will change the mind of people. Not that we are trying to convert you, but we will change the way you think, and you most likely would find fulfillment in the existence of your life. I am not promising you, but I am saying together it is possible. Let me read it one more time before I proceed. It says the spiritual consequences of premarital sex is shocking. I have seen a lot of people that I have discussions with, and whenever they speak to you, or a lot of people, I really don't want to call names, but when you hear a lot of people talk and you are having an affection, or there's a love affection with them, what they begin to talk about once affections begin between you and them, most likely they will talk about the past person. They focus their attention on what has happened in the past. Now, they would not talk about the man that they just met or the woman that they just met, that they just have discussion with. They talk about the ones that they have sexual encounters with. So, like this, the enlightened one was talking about, if there was no spiritual connection, if they had not done something that has a covenant within it, they most likely wouldn't go there. Hello, Miss D. Thanks for joining me. Good evening. Your conversation is just, I bless you. That's what your own conversation is. Thank you very much. I appreciate you. Good luck says, that is the reason why I really need reasonable people to be chatting with for real good reasons. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I think that the society we have today, there is no more sensible conversation. What we praise is nonsense talk. There is nothing wrong when we decide to be jovial, but when we do not take life so serious, in a sense that we make it so jovial and foolish that we begin to think that foolishness is the right way to go in life. And before you know, you become addicted to stupidity. And that's why a lot of generations today are paying the price for it. That's the reason why we are having crisis of young people not being able to have good relationship. And trust me, certain people will tell you that sexual relationship just plays between your body and the other person's body, if perhaps they will be able to admit it. But on the other hand, if you have been around real is it, can I say this thing? These ashes. I don't know if the people who are here can understand the word ashes. Ashes simply means PRO, those ladies. When you are with a lady who is dedicated to such acts, the conversation they have with you is always different. Their attitude towards life is always different. Why? Because one person has taken their soul away. Soul is something that can grasp consciousness, that can grasp knowledge, that can grasp certain experience, but because their body has been so used, they become so unconscious and their soul is taken that they cannot grow. So when they talk to people, all they say is nonsense. It is an effect of sexual issues. Trust me, I'm not saying that there are no people that they participate in things like this and they are still educated and they are still reasonable and they still act. For example, Kamala Harris, sorry, I want to pass my boundary right now. Please forgive me. Let me just pass my boundary a little bit. I will come back to my boundaries. For example, there's a story that goes with Kamala Harris. What's the name of the wife of Barack Obama? When you look at, okay, Michelle Obama. For example, when you look at the life of Michelle Obama, you would say that this woman, yes, thank you. I know you, one person will correct me. Thanks, the enlightened one. You will realize that Michelle Obama has not been so promiscuous in her life. But when you hear, and besides, how many people have come out to say that I used to date or used to sleep or used to do this with Michelle Obama? Because she kept her body in certain ways. I'm not saying Barack Obama is the first guy, but because she kept herself in certain ways, she has certain integrity, she thinks in certain ways. I will tell you for a fact, I wouldn't be surprised if Michelle Obama becomes the president of the United States tomorrow. Now compare her with Kamala Harris. Look at the mentality of Kamala Harris and look at what people say about Kamala Harris. A lot of people are saying, not my words, that she slept her way to the top. So if she had to sleep her way to the top, that means she wouldn't sleep with one person because it's position after position. So if she's doing it, now when Kamala Harris speaks, you see that there's a dysfunction in her conversation. She looks like something that has been overused. She doesn't look stable, despite the fact that we understand that Donald Trump, that particular individual, is very dramatic. Yet, Kamala Harris is worst. Her character showed that she truly went through that particular place. Goodluck says that, yes, brother, many things that are happening online is over making us to live the life that we are not mind to live, or we are not meant to live. Because of that, God begging to over provoke for us. I always have this hypothesis that God is the principle between human being and nature. What I mean by that statement is that God himself has certain principle, and the principle can never change. For example, for you to become wealthy, there's a principle behind it. For you to be able to get to consciousness, to be able to speak like God, there's a principle behind it. But everything is aligned also with nature. Every single time we begin to break the principle of nature, or that God has set, which God is the principle, we begin to disalign ourselves from nature, and nature becomes our enemy automatically. So, for example, if we are supposed to have water in a particular place and you keep filling that particular ground, and God has created that place, if we do not understand that the principle is that mankind is not supposed to live inside a water place or to overtake a sea, and we begin to try to break that principle, no matter how long you stay there, one day it's going to start, your house is going to sink. The same thing is applicable to human being. When we begin to, should I call their name? all these alphabetical people, do you know them? L, Z, A, B, C, D, G, E, all those kind of people. The essence of human being is to multiply. Since we exist, the essence of every human being is to multiply. But when you begin to contradict the principle of nature, what you begin to do is you start doing minus. You begin to minus. And that's the reason why you would hear that certain countries are not having enough children. Why? Because certain alphabetical people are much, and in fact, they even have rights than the people who are aligning themselves to the principles of nature. I hope somebody will be able to grasp that thing. The reason why I'm not calling those particular names is basically because I may call it and YouTube will want to deprive me of certain things. So let me go back. Enlightened One says, I think that's the end game. Kamala Harris will drop out. I wish so. I wish so. Because the reason why I'm against it, I'm not against Kamala Harris, but the reason why I do not think she's the best candidate for being a president is basically because of the blacks over there. She doesn't act stable. She acts like somebody who will be trying to please certain people. And with that, she would want to throw black people under the bus. There's a lot of things that I've heard. There's a lot of conversation I've had with one person and some people also, that's what Kamala Harris has actually done in the past. And thank God, right now, if you go on social media, it seems as if the black people are opening their eyes to the reality that Donald Trump is better. But if she had kept herself in a certain way, she most likely wouldn't have gone out of her way just to destroy certain individuals. Let me not even go into her side because there's nothing to say about Kamala Harris. Then the Enlightened One say, I think she has room temperature. Enlightened One says, I think she has room temperature IQ, map. All right. Good luck says that you are saying about some things people may understand. Even Trump now is even going to be more good because God have a great love for Trump. In a sense, yes. You know, it's just like choose your poison. Trump is a poison, but it's a better poison in a sense. And when you want to pick a leader, one of the things we need to understand is that a leader can never be perfect. A leader should be someone who is the best person for that particular moment to lead the people. That's the purpose of a leader. So if you think that you are going to pick a leader and that leader is going to be the best and is going to be so righteous that there will be nothing wrong about him, you will be disappointed. The problem of the Nigerians, for example, is that we know who is better, but we will choose the worst one. That's the reason why our country becomes worst over and over again. The Enlightened One says you are sharp. When we see successful people and my friends say, look at how God blessed him. I say Satan can bless you with wealth too, but there's always a price to pay. True. Now that also take us back to the initial conversation that we were having. When you are chasing after success so much and you are having it, you most likely, when you become addictive to it, you most likely are tuning away from the principles and the balance of life. And then you're channeling yourself towards the path of the devil. And when you get that stuff, that money, it deprives something from you. And that can be happiness. In fact, who are the people who are over wealthy, who keep chasing after money, and you see them being balanced in their emotion, who can experience all the emotions that humans are meant to experience? That mindset is a satanic mindset, in a sense. In a sense, not that they are actually worshiping the devil, but How come you hear Illuminati and this and that and blah 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 blah? These are the most successful people that you can talk about. They have to be in part of a group. And after all these things, something is missing in their soul. When your soul is taken away from you, you become addictive to physical things. And that is the reason why a lot of people, happiness is absent from their life. And the bone of contention is this: for you to be happy, you need to understand that the days you are not happy is also a normal and should be a happy day too. What do I mean by that? Every time you don't try, you don't force things to happen, and you're just like, God is still the owner of this day, even if I don't feel the feelings that I want to feel, and I am experiencing this particular time right now, it is okay for me to feel it. Just like the first thing the enlightened one says, that happiness cannot continue without you feeling sad. Sadness makes happiness have meaning. But when you feel sad and you're trying to force happiness when the things are changing and you're feeling sadness, then you most likely will be going towards the wrong direction. And that is going to take a lot from you. That's where I'm going to be stopping for today. If you haven't subscribed, please do subscribe to my channel. Coming back by 8 p.m. today. I'll be back by 8 p.m. today, and we'll be having a discussion. I want to talk. Trust me, I've been monetized on YouTube. And so I want to say certain things about myself. We are going to also dialogue and talk about addictions and certain kind of stuff. We are going to dive into a lot of things by 8 p.m. African time today. That should be maybe a few hours from now, 2 hours from now. So if you haven't subscribed, please do subscribe and join. Thank you, the enlightened one. Thank you, Miss D. Thank you, good luck. And thank you for every other person who has joined me live today. Hope we see around 8 p.m. Peace, everyone. Have a great day ahead. Bye-bye for now.